All right.
Yeah, it's checking. Yeah, it started. Yeah, please go ahead.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Today we have Dr. Neeta Mehta with us. She is an autism interventionist and a pediatric physiotherapist. So she will talk to us about an important topic, which is visual schedule and task analysis. Dr. Neeta is a director at Sahas Physiotherapy and Wellness Center, Mumbai. And ma'am, it's an honor to have you here. Handing it over to you.
Thank you so much, Sonia ji and Pramod ji, and thank you, Autism Parents Forum, for giving me this opportunity to present about visual schedule and task analysis, which is such an important topic in autism. So, before we start, I will just start with a brief introduction about our center, and for that, I would like to start presenting. It's a short video, so yeah, I'll be presenting now.
We are.
Yeah, I've started the video now.
Sorry, sorry,
Yes.
I couldn't able to hear the video. I couldn't able to see the video. I'm just hearing the music.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Is it for everyone? Is no one able to see the video?
No, we can see that
Yes.
video. It's videos there.
Even I cannot see the video, only music. We can see
Yes,
your
only music.
Yes, I
screen, ma'am.
also.
Your video, ma'am.
Only audio is coming.
Yeah,
Okay,
we can see the video. Videos there.
1 second. I will just start. I'll try again. Please stop me if you are unable to see the video at any time. I'll tell you when the video starts. Is everyone able to see the video?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that was about Sahas Center and the services that we provide. So I am an autism interventionist, a pediatric physiotherapist, and a remedial educator. And I have been working since 18 plus years. My center is situated in Sion and Ghatkopar in Mumbai. With this short intro now, I directly jump into our today's topic, which is visual schedules and task analysis for autism. So presenting now, and I would like to take you ahead through the presentation. If at any point of time you are unable to hear me or I am not clear for question and answers, we'll wait. We'll take it up at 4:40. But besides that, if you're not able to see the screen or if you're not able to hear me, please do let me know. So.
Yeah, ma'am, we can see your screen.
Thank you. So it is about autism. All of you are from Autism Parents Forum. You may be parents, you may be special educators, you may be teachers. So there is a DSM-5 criteria which is used to diagnose autism spectrum disorder. So just to tell you in short, we know that with autism we face difficulties where social emotional interaction is concerned, social communication is concerned, which may be receptive or expressive. Some repetitive behavior patterns may be observed, some restricted behavior patterns may be observed, lack of interest or restricted interests rather, some sensory issues may be observed. So what do we assess when we are seeing an child on the autism spectrum disorder? We are going to assess attention, that is joint attention with another person or with to an object, attention skills as a whole, sitting tolerance, imitation skills, receptive language skills, expressive language skills, social and play skills, and self-regulation, which is coming through the sensory systems. We use a holistic approach at our center. We use a combination of sensory integration, occupational strategies, occupational therapy strategies, physiotherapy strategies, and remedial education. And we are able to give a very holistic session for that whole hour to the child. And autism intervention skills are used to develop ADL skills and behavior modification strategies. So coming to visual communication for autism. Now, there have been many research papers that have brought to our notice that people with autism concentrate more brain resources in the areas associated with visual detection and identification. It might explain outstanding capacities in visual tasks. Not to say that since this spectrum is a huge spectrum, so majority of the cases on the autism spectrum have been found to have better visual processing skills versus auditory. Now, what do visual communication systems help us in? Most students with autism spectrum disorders have difficulty processing information auditorily or when you are speaking. When you are giving a series of instructions together and you are expecting them to follow those instructions in a sequence. So say, take this book, remove it from your bag, put it on your bench, go out of the class. Maybe only the first instruction is processed or maybe only the last instruction is processed. And the middle instruction may be lost out because there is no visual structure to it and auditorily the sequencing has not occurred. Visuals have staying power if the visual is right in front of you. So to say that whenever we start our day, we know that we are comfortable when we know that what our schedule is going to be through the day. So when I wake up, I know that I need to say, I need to cook the breakfast in the morning. Then I need to go for work or I need to work from home for my online sessions. Then I need to take a break for lunch and then again I have to do work from home and then I have another class to attend with my child. There is a schedule that we follow and sometimes there is so much to do that we put it on our to-doist list or getting things done list, or we'll put it on our Google Calendar. There are so many webinars also happening so frequently now. So also to remember those webinars, we'll put it up on our Google Calendars. So that schedule helps us and it is a visual for us. So maybe when we get up in the morning, we will see our calendar and we'll see what is it that is that we are looking forward to in the day. It stays with us. So visuals have staying power, and plus this will do one more thing, which I'll come to it. Visuals give more information than speech alone. Visuals are more concrete in nature. So when we are talking about visuals, when if we are informing somebody about, there is a webinar of this kind that is happening, and what it will encompass, we don't know. So there is something that when we are saying something, we may add to it, we may subtract from it. The tone of our voice may be very high, the tone of our voice may be very low, there may be sometimes sarcasm, there may be sometimes humor, which is difficult for our child on the spectrum to interpret. So when visuals are given in that manner, it is more concrete, and there is nothing that is going to be associated only along with the visuals. Visual itself is self-explanatory. And when you know about your schedule and what is expected out of you, what is it that you need to do in your free time or when you get your break time, it reduces anxiety for our children. Major behavior issues or major self-stimming behaviors that we see is during the free time that the child has or the break time the child has. Say they have a structure in the day, even when they go to school, if they have a structure in the day, like they have an art class, and then they have a PE class, they have an OT session, they have a computer class. Between the sessions, there are some break times. And if between the sessions they do not know, or we do not pass the information to them about what is it that I expected out of you in a break, then it gets difficult for them, creates a lot of anxiety. So it is better that through a visual schedule, whatever is expected out of them, it is put up on the schedule. And that will relieve their anxiety. It will improve, it is a form of communication. It will help them to understand what comes next, what is it. Say, suppose after an art class, there is a PE class that the student is looking forward to, or the child is looking forward to. If he doesn't have a timetable or if he doesn't have a schedule, he comes and he would want to directly go in with the PE sir because he loves that class. What if we present a schedule to him that says that, first you have to attend art class, and after art class, you have the PE class. So that wait time will increase, and he knows that his favorite activity is going to follow through. So let me finish my first class and then I will be able to go to my next class. It gives them predictability. It provides a structure. As I said, it reduces anxiety, and it will also increase expression of preference. So this was an experience with one of the child who we had, and when we presented the schedule to him, he had a lot of tactile issues or touch issues, and it was difficult for him to touch any art and craft material. So when the first subject was put as art for him, he actually removed it and he said no, and he put PE on the first this thing. So with that kind of information, actually you understand that there is some difficulty the child is going through. So next time I make the schedule, I would keep this in mind as well and make a schedule which is comfortable to the child as well. Now, when we start a visual system, what are the prerequisites to start a visual communication system? If your child is able to match an object to object, say a ball to a ball, an apple to an apple, a paintbrush to a paintbrush, so that is an object to object matching. If the child is able to match a card to the object, so the picture of the apple to the actual object, that is the apple, picture of the brush to the actual object, which is the painting brush, which may depict an art class, or matching card to card. So an apple to an apple with a card, the picture of the brush with the picture of the brush. So these are the three things. So at any level, whatever your child is, whether he is able to match object to object, then we will use objects for the visual structure. If he is able to match card to the object, then we will be able to match card to the object. And if he is able to match card to card, we can also use pictures and written words. So we will check whether the child is able to match object to object, whether the child is able to match colored photos, whether the child is able to match black and white photos, whether the child is able to match colored drawings, black and white drawings, and written words. So say if the child is at the level of colored photos, then and black and white photos are a little confusing or of disinterest to him, then I will use colored photos to drive in the same thing, drive in the structure. If I feel the child is okay with just a depiction of my black and white drawing, then I may just do a drawing with a pencil and put it up on the schedule. If the child is able to read and associate the reading word with the picture or the object, then I will use the written word. Now, what I'm going to talk about is basically going to work on the receptive language of the child. So that is, we many times parents say that the child is not following instructions. If I'm asking him to do this, he's not doing this. If I'm asking him to come and sit with me, he's not doing this. He's not attending to the task at hand, or he's not he's moving from one task to another, and he's just not able to finish what I'm telling him. So basically, whatever we are instructing or whatever we are talking to the child about is the receptive language. That is what we are expecting the child to receive. Now, there is a teach technique, which is treatment and education of autistic and related communication handicapped children. So in short, a teach program which developed this visual structure and then which went into the visual schedule. So say when I start a visual schedule, do I start it all together? No, I cannot start a visual schedule together. I need to train the child to use or to make sense of a visual schedule or a visual structure that is given to him. So there is something called as pre-transition cues and transition cues. So first two I'm explaining is this. Say I would start, yeah, tell me. Any doubts?
No, ma'am, I think we are good. For those of you who said that you cannot see the presentation, you will have to pin presentation in brackets Neeta Mehta, and it's going to be visible. I can see it.
Oh. Fine. So when I'm talking about the pre-transition cue, so I'm going to start, I'll just give you examples, okay? Now say I am in my therapy session and I want to do 3 things or 2 things with the child. So once a child enters, I have divided my area into a work time area and a playtime area. In the playtime area, I may have kept some sensory tools, a sensory box or therapeutic or springs or cards to play with. Whereas in the work time area, I may have kept puzzles or worksheets. I want to get through to the child that first, so when you are coming, I need you to go to the work time area and then you will be able to go to the playtime area. So when the child enters the room, I am going to show him a picture of a work time area, which may be anything, which may be a picture of a table and a chair, and the same picture is stuck in the work time area. It is stuck on the table over there. So I would, when the child enters my cabin, I will show him the picture of the work time area that let's go to work time. And I will assist the child physically, with verbal instruction, and I will accompany him to the work time area, ask him to sit in the work time area, maybe do a short-term task like just do 1-piece puzzle or a 2-piece puzzle. Now let's transition to the playtime area. So now I give him a playtime area card. A similar card is kept in the playtime area, and he moves from the playtime area, from the work time area to the playtime area, and he does some activity over there. Again, I will ask him to transition to the work time area. So initially what I am trying to teach him is through visual cards only. I am assisting him physically the first time, but I am also communicating to him that when I am saying that you need to go to the work time area, you need to receive that language and go to work time area. Then you need to transition from the work time area to the playtime area when told. Again from playtime area to work time area. So I'm using only 2 transition cues or pre-transition cues at a time. After this, I may increase 2 more cards. So say there is work time, there is playtime, there is swing time, and there is trampoline time, according to the likes and preferences of my child. Now for each area that I have created, I have a card for it. a card is already kept over there. I'm just teaching the child to match the card and associate the areas according to the verbal instruction and according to the visual instruction. Slowly, the child, once he understands, you start removing the physical cue. You just give the child the card and he moves to that area directly. Sometimes verbal instruction may also not be required once the child learns it. So the child has then progressed to transition cues, when the child can do transitions independently when told or through a visual system. So whenever you are going to work with your child, it is advisable that even at home, you create two areas, which is work time area and playtime area, so that demarcation is very much there. And when you're directing your child to the work time area, he finishes the work that you have thought out for him. And if you think your child has low attention span, then you have to reduce the amount of work that you are giving to him at a particular time. So you give him work only for say 2 minutes and then let him transition to the playtime area. So that way, through the visual system, the transition cues have to be taught. Once this is taught, then this is put in schedule, say on a school timetable. So on a school timetable, when the child comes, there is a child's picture on the top. Then there is, say, computer class first. And after computer class, there is art class. After art class, there is OT time. So say I have taken 3 cards. So when the child comes in, I show him his timetable. He sees his timetable and he knows that first is art class. So he moves to the art class. Once the art class is done, the art teacher is going to tell him, check schedule. He will check his schedule and see that there is now, there was computer class and there is art class. Now there is art class, he has to move to the art class area. Initially, they will have to be accompanied, they will have to be monitored for those transitions. Later on, those transitions have to become independent or with minimal supervision. So, and then to the OT area. Now, if there is a break time in between, then I can even put a card where there is, say, computer class, and if there is a break time in between, so I would say computer class, and the break time you can play with your, say, a fidget spinner, or you can play with whatever is his preferred activity, like clay, or what is it that he likes to play with. So that reinforcing activity, you need to put it in between before the transition to the second activity. Whenever child does a transition perfectly, you should always give a reinforcer. A reinforcer can be a social reinforcer, like well done, you transitioned well to the work time area. Or it can be a materialistic reinforcer, like because he transitioned, he went directly to the work time area, probably you could start with his favorite activity. So that becomes reinforcing itself. So a child has to be given a reinforcer so that he will understand that what I have done is right, and therefore you are reinforcing this task. So he is going to cooperate more when he has to repeat that task. Now, we have to go to, say, when we are, once the transitions are understood, then we are going to first this, then that. Many times we have thought of something like, say, a puzzle piece for the child to do, but the child just pushes that away and tries to go to his favorite activity. Say the child wants a pom-pom that is kept on the side. So I create a visual card which depicts that puzzle that I want him to do, and after the puzzle he is going to get the pom-pom. So if I introduce that card first itself, that okay, say I'm going to take the name Arav, say Arav, look at this, first you do this puzzle, then you do this, then you get the pom-pom. So then I give him the puzzle for a short period of time and then give him the pom-pom. So he understands that by doing this, I'm getting this. So first this, then that is that kind of a card. I'll be showing you the pictures also, but I'm just explaining the process to you. There is something called as finished box, visual timer, visual schedule. So whenever also our children get stuck onto a lot of things. So there was a child who used to get stuck onto strings or long strings or long ribbons. If he didn't have, he would try to pull the long straps of the curtain, and if it is broken, he would actually start playing with it. Any TheraBand, anything that was long, and keep looking at it, and that was taking him away from the task at hand. So we used to do a visual timer, which is, I'm going to depict it to you. So if all of you can see my video, it is this. So I would tell the child, I'm going to teach, my one whole session may go in teaching the child a visual timer or finish. So I would say 1, 2, 3, finish, and take that band away and keep it with me, and immediately give another toy or another puzzle or another reinforcing object to the child. After that, again, I would take that object from the child, 1, 2, 3, finish, and give the band to the child. So initial back and forth is just about teaching finish. Okay, that you have, that a thing that is going away from you is going to come back also, but at the count of finish, you need to give it back. Okay, so once you teach visual timer to the child, whenever child is stuck onto anything, what you can do is use a visual timer, 1, 2, 3, finish, take that object away at finish. Do not go for protesting, and if you need to snatch, you need to take it away. Yes, you need to take it away, but keep it only with 2 seconds with you, and again give him another task or give him another object, and again give that object. So that way you will increase that time, that waiting time for that object to come back. You can also create a transparent box. Okay, so children on the autism spectrum, sometimes they don't have something called as object permanence. So it is like this: if mama is going to the bathroom, mama has gone away forever. Mama is not going to come back from the bathroom and be there for me. That is why there is a lot of separation anxiety you see in some children. Okay, mama chali gayi, now mama is not going to come back. Similarly, it may be for objects. So if my string has gone, it is not going to come back. So instead of that, when we are taking the string, we can ask the child to put it in a transparent box. Say 1, 2, 3, finish, put in wait box. So that is a wait box. Child knows it is there. Do the task and now take the object. So the object has not moved away from him, but the object is in a transparent box which he can see but cannot access. So that is about the visual timer and visual schedule. Visual timer or the finish task. There are many other visual timers which work on batteries, that the light, jab tak light rehta hai, tab tak you play with this. When the light goes off, you need to give that object away to me. Okay, and there is something we also make with bottle caps. So I'm going to go back to presenting and show you some examples as well. I think someone else is present. Okay. So it is about visual timer, and now we are going to visual schedule, which works on predictability, not sameness. Where can we use visuals? We can use visuals in home setting, school setting, any outings or daily routine tasks. So home setting and school setting, I have explained to you. Outings, now many times a child used to come to our school, and whenever the route was changed, it used to cause a lot of anxiety with the child. So there was a particular route from home to school. If you are bringing him through that route, he's fine. But as soon as there is a change of route, he used to get very anxious. So we need to train these children even for a surprise card. So, okay, I know about art class, I know about computer class, I know about work time, I know about playtime. But what happens if suddenly something different happens, or if a teacher is absent, or if a parent has to go out suddenly? So in that case, there is something called as a surprise card that you put in the visual schedule. So say, if you know that the change of route is going to happen in the morning, I think you should prepare the child at that time itself. So in the morning only, on the visual schedule, you say, today we are going to school, but we are going through a different route. Because whatever the reason, you have to speak out. But you train the child that this is a different route and we'll be going to the school through that route. If it happens suddenly, then again on the visual schedule itself, you put the surprise card. Surprise, different route. So you train the child in that. It is not going to happen at one go. It is going to happen slowly and steadily. You can use the visual schedule for daily routine tasks. Now, this is an example of a visual schedule. Is this visible? Or I will go to the, is this visible well?
Sorry to interrupt. Can we go to the previous slide? Before that, there are some activities like visual timers. All those were available.
Yeah.
I missed out. Previous, yes. Receptive language.
You want me to say the whole slide again?
No, ma'am. Only visual time up to visual timer you explained. So the choice
I'm
board and all, it
explaining-
will come later.
Yeah. That's what I'm explaining. Now I'm going on the visual schedule.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, ma'am. Please continue because the choice board were left out. So thank you.
Yeah. So this is the visual schedule. Can you see the slide well, or is this more visible?
This is more straight, ma'am. The other one was not.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll explain. So for example, see, when we do a therapy session, and as I said that I want to now, I have trained the child for transition cues. I've trained the child in transition area, transitioning from one area to another. Now I need to put it on a schedule. So I will show you, once we stop the presentation also, I will show you a card on which these cards are stuck with Velcro. So when the child comes in, I show him a schedule and I show him that first is your ball play, then is sensory play, your work time, and then you can go home. So when the child enters, I will say check schedule. Child goes and checks the schedule, sees the ball time, picks up the card and goes to the ball time area. Once he is finished with the ball time area, then I would say check schedule, or if he knows by then that, okay, I'm done, I will go and check it myself. Then he goes to, sees it as sensory play and goes to the sensory playtime area. Then work time area. That way he will only transition. Now all this is visible to him as soon as he has come. He knows what his plan looks like and what is going to be expected out of him. Now in this work time only, you can use the cards like first this, then that, which I explained earlier. You can use the finish timer. In sensory play, suppose the child is really immersed in the sensory play and not able to give it up. So that time you have to start using the visual timer. So the child can finish task and go check schedule. So he goes to the work time. And after work time, again, you can give him sensory play for some time if the child is really excited about it. But overall, this is a schedule that is put up on the board when the child comes. Once each card is over, this is a finished pouch. So there are two things. Either the child goes to the area and sticks the card in that area, so he doesn't have to put it in the finished pouch, or he can, once that task is done, he can come back, put it in the finished pouch and look at the second task that is expected out of him. Okay, so there is a finished pouch as well. Now this is something that can be done at home. So after waking up, what is it the child needs to do? Check schedule. So you need to go to the washroom, that is pee, then brush teeth, bathe, getting dressed. So this is the schedule that is expected from you in the morning time. And this is how we are going to go about it. This is something like what this is prepared by a parent on only whose child is on the autism spectrum. So she has prepared morning schedule, afternoon schedule, evening schedule, night schedule. What is important to remember is that you do not start all the schedules together, because when you are starting, it is new for the child. So you train the child slowly, steadily, and not put more than 4 cards in a schedule. So as I have put before, only this much information is available to child at present. After this is done, then the other 4 cards come in play. But all the information will not be stuck together at the same time. Whenever you are doing a schedule for the first time, so each time the child follows through the schedule, say after waking up, he has gone to the washroom, then he went to brush the teeth. It is better to give a reinforcer over here. That, wow, good, or it may be social, so good following the schedule. After he has brushed his teeth, you can give him just a small toy to play with, or again a social reinforcer or an edible, and then he can go for a bath. But initially, whenever transition is occurring successfully, it is okay to give reinforcers in between and then transition to the social reinforcer. So it helps in communicating that a good behavior has occurred. Incentive for follow through is better. How long do you need to practice these schedules? You need to practice it daily and often till number of prompts reduce and it increases self-reliance. Meaning initially when we are starting the schedule, we may have to support the child physically, verbally or auditorily. Later on, we have to fade out the prompt. So physical prompt goes first, then slowly the verbal prompt goes. And we only by seeing this visual is the child able to move through the structure. And is it reducing the anxiety? Consistency is the key. So when we practice visual schedule, we also practice it in a way, I don't have that card over here, but say you are practicing at home for an academic task. So first you can use first this, then that card, or in a visual schedule you can put in maths, we will do 2 sums. So math 2 sums, then you get to have a break time where you can move around. Because you know that maths is something that the child doesn't like at all and doesn't want to do it. Or writing is something that the child doesn't like at all and doesn't want to do it. So I can put as writing 2 sentences and then a break. Writing 2 sentences, then a fidget spinner. Writing 2 sentences. So that way, till the time the child is able to write 6 sentences, I will just put writing 2 sentences. I'll give the number of things that I expect the child to do. And then I will just put writing. Once I have achieved the task writing, so that it is conveyed to the child that after 6 sentences, you will get this object or you will get this break. Okay, so as I said, you need to practice it daily. Now I'm going to a mini visual schedule. What I showed you was a visual schedule for big tasks, big chunks, and where the transitions had to occur. Say now you want to put as, want to teach a child to wash hands or know the steps in washing hands or in bathing. Then a task analysis is necessary. So in this picture, there is turn off tap, wet hands. See what are the steps required to wash your hands. So turn on the tap, wet your hands, take liquid soap, rub, wash your hands, turn off the tap, dry your hands, and finished. Okay, so now I wanted to tell you that, say for example, I take my child, I put this visual schedule on the top of my sink where it is going to take place, where washing hands is going to take place. Once my child comes near the sink, he will see the steps that are placed around here. Initially, I would help him with, say, the first task. Okay, see, we will check what the child knows. Does the child know to turn on the tap? Cool, he knows it. He's turning on the tap. He's wetting his hands. He's taking liquid soap. Say the child gets stuck when he's wetting his hands, when he's washing his hands under the water, and now he's not able to move through the third task, or he's forgotten. So quickly I again point out, look at the third task, or look at the schedule, or look here. So the child looks here, and I may help the child physically for taking the liquid soap and moving on to the next task. So that way I am training the child to move in a forward direction where the child has stopped to complete the task completely till finished. Say the child is stuck while washing hands. Then again, after the child, I'm going to give a cue to the child. Check schedule. So the child has to check the schedule, turn off the tap, and move to drying hands. That is called forward chaining also, that I'm moving from the first step to the second step to the third step to the fourth step, and helping the child wherever the child is getting stuck, and then moving forward. Many times it's difficult for the child to take all instructions together. So I say, I see that the child is turning on the tap. Up to taking liquid soap, he's okay. After that, he's getting stuck. So I will then help the child to rub his hands, and then help the child through the whole process. I will not say, okay, now I've helped him in rub, now I will not help him in washing hands. What I will do is I will help him in rub and take him through the whole process till this task gets mastered. And then I will move on to the other task. This is such a mini visual schedule for toilet training as well, which is a little complicated in itself. Therefore, not more than 4 cards should be put, and it should be taught step by step. This is another mini schedule where if the child is able to do a check it out, use check boxes, or the adult is helping him in check boxes, by squeezing toothpaste onto your toothbrush. Now, this is too much of language on the card. Only if your child is able to read and associate with the picture would you use this kind of a schedule. This is something that is stuck in the child's room, and whatever is expected from the child is put over here. So it is about cleaning my room. So chaining process, I took you through a chaining process which is called forward chaining, where I told you that wherever the child stops, you move from that task and take him to the end goal. Now say a task like wearing socks. Which part, when you analyze wearing socks, to take the sock in the hand, to make the folds in the sock, then to put it on the ends of our toes, then to pull it up, and then pull it up through the heel. So say there are 4 things that you need to do. It is much easier for me if the child learns to pull it up the heel first, and I can do the initial 3 tasks myself. That is called backward chaining. So I am teaching the child the 4th step, and then moving on to the 3rd step, then moving on to the 2nd step. So 4th step, he pull the sock from the heel. 3rd step is he's pulling the sock from the toes to the heel. 2nd step is he's arranging the sock from end to end near the toes properly. Then the 2nd step is he's folding the sock properly to be worn. And the 1st step is taking the sock. So there you are using a backward chaining process. Okay, so this is about visual structure and visual schedules. I'm going to take in the questions, but before that, just you can connect with us on this email ID, drneeta@sahaspt.in. Skype, we are doing individual Skype consultations with prior appointments, and we are doing assessments and giving home programs for children on the autism spectrum. We are also doing teacher trainings and school consultations. So if at all, you can connect with us. We are available both online and offline. Our clinic has already started. But if the parents are comfortable with online sessions, these are the following programs that are going on at this moment. Even speech therapy also has started. So now I'm going to stop sharing and take in your questions. Yes. So,
Thank you, Dr. Neeta. Whosoever has questions, I would suggest that you type into the chat box so that I can just, read it out loud and let Dr. Neeta answer them. Because if all of us go unmute, then it's going to be a hassle.
So there is one question on the chat box, Sonia ji. If you want me to answer that, go ahead.
Yeah, so there's this question from Sujata. She's asking that how can we use, I think it's about scheduling for doing daily homework, and she wants an example.
Right. So see, for the daily homework, let me take you to one. Just give me a moment. I will show you the card. Okay, actually, I can take you to the presentation. 1 minute. I'll show you 2 cards, okay, how to do daily homework. So as I mentioned, what is the daily homework that you yourself will first have to schedule that whole thing. Say you want to do maths, you want to do English, and in English, what do you want to do? In maths, what is it that you want to do? Okay, so if you want to so Sujata ji, you can give me examples as well. I don't know how old are your children, but I'm going to explain how to do it with one child at a time. So say you want to do maths addition sums with the child. Okay, now you want to do at 8 years, you want to do addition or multiplication sums with the child. So you are going to show them two sums, that first you do these two sums and then you get a reinforcer. Now reinforcers are something that your child likes at 8 years of age. What is it that your child likes? Does the child like a ball? Does the child like pom-poms? Does the child like fidget spinner? Does the child like to color? Does the child like to scribble? What is it that the child likes? What is a reinforcing task that you can give along with the sums that you are going to ask the child to do? I'm showing you, I'm presenting the PPT again, and I'm showing you a first this in that card which I have missed out. And you know, there is something called as workstations also, but that is not a part of this presentation. But if you want to know more, you can connect with me later. So can everyone see this slide? Can you see this slide? See.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible. The first 10 station.
Yes.
Yeah. So now the child here, what is the child given? The child has been given the worksheet. Once he finishes the worksheet, he needs to pick up that sheet and put it in the finished box. And he knows over here that first he finishes his worksheet and then he gets to go for cycling. So this kind of picture card that is stuck on the table, and these two pictures are stuck with Velcro. This is interchangeable, right? So whenever you are doing homework with your child, you also can show this kind of card and show them that if you first finish the 2-3 sums that I'm giving you, you get this reinforcer. You can also extend this card, then it becomes what comes next card. I want to show you the what comes next card also. So just a minute, I will. There are a lot of these are available on the net as well. So the images are available. You can make it. You can go through it also and have a look. So I don't see it here, but it is similar to. It is opening. Okay, it's not very clear over here. I'll just explain to you. So what you understood in first this, then that card. What comes next card is even more elongated. So there is like 2 sums of maths, reinforcer, 2 sums of maths, reinforcer, 2 sums of maths, reinforcer. That way. So your homework, whatever homework that you want your child to do or a writing task you want to do, you have to make it very, very clear that this is the first worksheet you have to do, then you get to play this. And so either you can elongate the card and stick it in front of the card, or you can show the card show the child one by one, explain to him before you begin the task. So the child knows that after I finish this, I will get this. At the same time, you will need to be realistic about the expectations you have from the child. Say if the child is already having difficulties in doing the homework, you cannot start with 30 minutes of homework with them. You are going to break it down and do a 10 to 15 minute task with them and then take them to a 30-minute time. Once it becomes easier for them to sit through those 15 minutes. So in 15 minutes, I'm okay to give 4 reinforcers and finish their task. And once they are trained for it, at 30 minutes also, I can give 4 reinforcers and finish the tasks at hand. So that is the way you are going to schedule the homework. The same thing, if your child is able to understand. See, these are the schedules, if you can see. And if your child is able to understand that through a board, or you can take a notebook and you can draw it also and show it to them that this is what I expect out of you. This is going to come first. This is going to come next. This is going to come first. This is going to come next. If they are able to get that, then you don't need to print out the cards. And also I'm telling all the parents, you don't need to print all these cards. You can even draw it and you can put a clean wrap sheet over this. So it will get laminated at home itself, and it is very pocket friendly instead of laminating each card and putting it. And this is just a mount board that is made, and it can be used for various schedulings. So you don't need to really invest a lot in printing out all the time. So that is the way I think you can help your children with the homework. Yeah, can we move forward?
Yes, ma'am. I'll take another question which is a little different. And so, does visual schedule helps to improve speech in a speech regressed child?
So speech regression does occur in autism. Now, visual schedules, as I said, expression. There was this child who expressed his desire to do the PE class first and not the art class first. It definitely will bring about the vocabulary, and it will definitely, whenever you are saying the word, you are modeling the words to the child. So each time the child is seeing the schedule, there are higher chances that the child himself will produce that word and go forward with it. So it's not like it is not going to help you in speech, or it is going to stop the child from speaking because he has visuals in hand. It is, if you have modeled enough, you may expect the child to say it at some point or the other. Yeah. So speech regression occurs at an early age also, at a later stage also, but to say visuals help, it does help.
Thanks, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay, so this question says, my son is 8 years old. He is not connected with the schedule board. Like he never look at it whenever we try. As he's verbal and can read, I write on the board. So please help.
Okay, can I go through that question? So one thing is, uh, where is that question? Can I read it again?
Yeah,
From the
it's by Sadaf Musa. He says, my son is 8 years old.
there
Yeah.
are sense in your child where he knows the written word, he's associating the written word with the object. What is your goal? See, you don't start visual structures or visual schedules with every child on the autism spectrum. You start a visual structure or a visual schedule with the child when you want to work through their receptive language. You feel that they are not following instructions. When you are saying that you're writing the whole thing on the whiteboard, that itself is also a structure that you are giving your child. If you think the whiteboard is helping the child, put the structure on the whiteboard because the child is understanding the written word. If he is not following through, then there are other reasons why he may not be following through. You need to, as I said, start with the transition cues then. So, Sonia ji, is it possible to directly talk to the parent, but the parent is also able to
Sure.
give some input
Sure.
from them?
Yeah. Sadaf, you can unmute yourself and, put your question in a better manner so that, ma'am can respond it.
हाँ यस हेलो मैम।
हेलो सदव जी, बोलिए।
हाँ हाँ मैम, मेरा बेटा जो है वो वर्बल है, लेकिन तो जैसे मतलब ऑक्यूपेशनल थेरेपिस्ट ही वो बताते हैं कि उनको उसका बिहेवियरल इशू के लिए जो है शेड्यूल बनाना जरूरी है। तो इस वजह से हम लोग शेड्यूल बनाते हैं, और वो मतलब बहुत अच्छा रीडिंग में बहुत अच्छा है, वो अच्छे से रीड कर सकता है। तो पहले हम लोगों ने पिक्चर्स बनाया था, फिर मुझे ऐसा लगा कि जब वो रीड कर सकता है तो फिर मैं क्यों ना बोर्ड में लिखूं, तो फिर मैं उसके लिए व्हाइट बोर्ड में लिख देती हूँ। बट वो मैम देखता ही नहीं है उसकी तरफ, मतलब वो बोर्ड की तरफ देखता ही नहीं है बिल्कुल भी।
तो जब
जैसे कि मैं फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैं वर्किंग मदर हूँ, तो मुझे मतलब जाना होता है तो मैं लिखकर उसके लिए सब चली जाती हूँ, बट लाइक वो उससे कनेक्ट नहीं कर पा रहा है। तो क्या उसको बोर्ड को अट्रैक्टिव बनाएं, क्या करें जिससे वो कनेक्ट कर सके वो उससे अपने आप को?
जब भी आप बोर्ड से पहले आप क्या यूज कर रहे थे, और तभी वो कनेक्ट कर
नहीं
पा
नहीं तभी नहीं मैम, वो शेड्यूल से करते ही नहीं है, वो तभी नहीं करता था। मतलब कुछ दिन तक किया, थोड़ा दिन एक्साइटमेंट रहा, कुछ दिन तक किया, फिर खत्म, उसके बाद फिर नहीं किया।
तो जब भी आपने स्केड्यूल इंट्रोड्यूस किया है, आप कितने कार्ड्स डालते हैं उसमें, और आपके चाइल्ड का अटेंशन स्पैन अदरवाइज कितना है?
कार्ड्स तो मैम बहुत कितना डालते थे, अराउंड मैम 10 कार्ड्स डालते थे।
10 कार्ड्स। और
हाँ।
अटेंशन स्पैन कितना है चाइल्ड का?
उसका तो मैम कितना होगा, 15 मिनट्स 20 मिनट्स 15 to 20 मिनट्स रहता है।
राइट। सो 15 मिनट्स के लिए आप 4 कार्ड से ज्यादा ना डालें। और आपके
अच्छा।
शेड्यूल में क्या होता है, जैसे अगर आप वर्किंग मदर है लेकिन कोई तो उसके साथ होगा, चाइल्ड के साथ कोई तो होगा जो
जी
उसको,
मैम। हाँ।
तो जब भी वो स्केड्यूल नहीं, एक तो उसके आई के लेवल पे वो स्केड्यूल होना चाहिए, पहली बात ये। व्हाइट बोर्ड पे अगर आप लिख रहे हैं तो एक बॉर्डर दीजिए, व्हाइट बोर्ड पे आप लिखिए, उसके आई लेवल पे रखिए, और बिफोर गोइंग, जब बिफोर यू गो टू वर्क, आप अपने चाइल्ड को वहां पे ले जाइए और उसको पढ़वाइए, चेक स्केड्यूल, और 4 चीज से ज्यादा मत डालिए। अगर आपको लगता है कि वो बिल्कुल ही नहीं देखता है तो आप 3 चीज ही रखो, शॉर्ट रखिए। मॉर्निंग स्केड्यूल को 3 थिंग्स में ही डिवाइड कीजिए, आफ्टरनून को 3 थिंग्स में ही डिवाइड कीजिए। वैसे don't do too many things together because anyways his attention span is low और ऑलरेडी वो नहीं देख रहा है, तो टू मच विजुअल इंफॉर्मेशन ऑल्सो नथिंग विल वर्क। सो स्टार्ट, जैसे मैंने आपको स्टार्टिंग में बताया पीपीटी में, वी स्टार्ट ओनली विद 2 ट्रांजिशंस, वी डोंट स्टार्ट विद मोर देन 2 ट्रांजिशंस। सो वर्क टाइम और फ्लो टाइम, और फिर हम 4 ट्रांजिशंस करते हैं, पर 4 to 5 थिंग्स से ज्यादा हम नहीं रखते हैं। सो यू स्टार्ट स्लो। अगर आपको लगता है कि व्हाइट बोर्ड ही यूज करना है, यूज द व्हाइट बोर्ड, बट देयर इज अ हायर चांस द चाइल्ड में टेक द डस्टर एंड remove it also while in your absence. I don't know how it is. So अगर आपको लगता है पेपर पर लिखने से या आपके जो भी चाइल्ड के साथ है उनको क्या इजी पड़ेगा, वैसा कोई मटेरियल लीजिए जो विजुअल, जब भी वो नहीं उस पे अटेंशन दे पाता, वो उनको बोल सकते हैं चेक स्केड्यूल, एंड इट इज समथिंग लाइक अ मूवेबल कार्ड। अगर व्हाइट बोर्ड है तो व्हाइट बोर्ड खाली एक रूम में होता है। सपोज अगर आप एक कार्ड पे ऐसे विजुअल स्केड्यूल बनाएं तो जहां जहां चाइल्ड जाता है वहां वहां ये कार्ड आप कैरी कर सकते हैं और उसको दिखा सकते हैं, वर्सेस अ व्हाइट बोर्ड व्हिच विल बी ओनली एट वन प्लेस।
ओके ओके।
So, and this is a reminder, a constant reminder to him. ये एक बार आपने एक कार्ड बना दिया तो आपको फिर वापस बनाने की जरूरत नहीं है। It stays for long.
ओके ओके।
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Welcome.
I'll move on to the next question, which is related to visual schedule. So, ma'am, Vishal is asking, visual schedule में हम real objects use कर सकते हैं? For example, toothbrush or playing ball, writing with pencil or book. So instead of putting cards, can we use real objects?
Yes, you can use. If the child, अगर child object to object matching पे है और कार्ड टू ऑब्जेक्ट मैच नहीं कर पा रहा है, तो द फर्स्ट स्टेज इज ऑब्जेक्ट टू ऑब्जेक्ट मैचिंग ओनली। सो से मैंने हैंड राइटिंग या टूथ ब्रशिंग ले लीजिए कि मुझे चाइल्ड को ब्रशिंग कॉर्नर में भेजना है, तो मैं उसके हाथ में टूथ ब्रश दूंगा और उसको वहां पे फिजिकली लेके जाऊंगा, सो दैट टूथ ब्रश कॉर्नर इज नोन टू हिम, मतलब वो एसोसिएट कर पाए। सो मैं ब्रश यूज कर रहा हूँ एक ब्रश कॉर्नर के लिए। अगर मुझे राइटिंग करवाना है या एकेडमिक्स करवाना है तो मैं टेबल पे पेपर और पेंसिल रखूंगी और चाइल्ड को मैं पेंसिल दिखाऊंगी ट्रांजिशन के लिए, कि जब भी मैं आपको पेंसिल दूं आपको वो वर्क स्टेशन पे जाना है। सो ही कैन एसोसिएट द पेंसिल विद द वर्क स्टेशन। सो ऐसे कोई, जैसे खाना है तो जैसे मैंने आपको जैसे थाली और वाटी होता है, तो मैं अगर आपको एक वाटी देती हूँ मतलब आपको लंच टाइम है और आपको लंच टेबल पे जाना है, तो एसोसिएशन करवाना जरूरी है जब भी चाइल्ड कार्ड पे ना हो, और ऑब्जेक्ट टू ऑब्जेक्ट आप करवा सकते हो, लेकिन you have to try and move to the cards also, because जैसे चाइल्ड बड़ा हो जाता है, डिफरेंट प्लेसेस में जाता है, स्कूल में जाता है या तो केयर सेंटर में जाता है, तो वहां पे हर वक्त जो थर्ड पर्सन होता है वो नहीं समझता है कि वो पेंसिल एकेडमिक कॉर्नर से एसोसिएट कर रहा है या तो वो वाटी लंच कॉर्नर से एसोसिएट कर रहा है। उसको तो उनके लिए तो वो पिक्चर ही जनरलाइज्ड फॉर्म है। तो कुछ भी चीज जनरलाइज करने के लिए आपको कार्ड की तरफ बढ़ना जरूर है, इवन इफ यू स्टार्ट विद एन ऑब्जेक्ट।
All right.
I have one question.
Okay, yes, sir.
Yeah. Hello, ma'am. My name is Sagar.
Yes, Sagar, tell me.
मेरा लड़का 5.5 साल का है और वो ABA थेरेपी और स्पीच और OT अटेंड करता है। और अभी ये क्या हो रहा है, मोस्टली उसको विजुअल कुछ एक्टिविटी दी। बेसिकली ही इज प्लेइंग ऑन ट्रैम्पोलिन, तो ट्रैम्पोलिन कार्ड दिया, सो ही इज प्लेइंग ऑन ट्रैम्पोलिन। फ्रॉम ट्रैम्पोलिन इफ वी वांट टू मूव हिम टू जिम बॉल or go to the desk to write something, so we'll give another activity card. So once he get it, तो उसको reinforcer दिया जाता है। reinforcer, so reinforcer के लिए रेजिन्स देते हैं, किशमिश वगैरह जो पसंद है, और उसको ग्रेट जॉब बोलते हैं। ग्रेट जॉब पार्श्व, ग्रेट जॉब। तो उसको पता चलता है कि हाँ मैंने ये एक्टिविटी अच्छी की और अभी वो दूसरे एक्टिविटी के लिए तरफ जा रहा है। बट अभी प्रॉब्लम ये हो रहा है, अभी जब भी उसको रेजिन दिया जाता है, किशमिश दिया जाता है, तो वो ग्रेट जॉब बोलता है। और तो किशमिश चाहिए तभी भी वो ग्रेट जॉब बोलता है। तो इसमें कैसे उसको सिखाया जाए कि रेजिन चाहिए तो बोलो प्लीज गिव मी किशमिश और रेजिन्स और समथिंग लाइक दैट। But now because of this reinforcer and with the visual, now he's learning great job, but he's thinking like whenever I want the raisin, I need to say great job. So this is little bit.
Yeah, see, that's a part of the spectrum because child don't understand abstract. जो abstract हम सोचते हैं, it is difficult for them to understand. So if this kind of thing, behavior is not coming in the way of his learning, don't bother about it. I will say don't bother about it because there will be many words he will associate with a certain object. And he may not actually name the real object. But till the communication is clear, I feel you should not worry about it. Secondly, if you think that now edibles are being given as reinforcers, start thinking of other reinforcers. So great job is working for him. Now you want to teach him great job is a social reinforcer in itself. So sometimes don't give him raisin. At some instance. So say if he's moving from the trampoline to the swing, say great job. Stop at that. That so probably he may associate a great job is a word in it by itself and not associated with the raisin. Here he is given two reinforcers at the same time. He's given the raisin and then he's given great job also. So he has confused both.
Okay.
Right.
Got
so
it.
Now that is something you can try. Plus, beyond, if you want to give raisin as a reinforcer, so give it in that time, but don't give it other times. Generalized. Generally, so choose what is working best for him. But I would say try to start saying great job without raisin.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Also, there are some times like we are not at home, we are outside. We goes to park, we goes to bicycle, or we goes to ride a scooter, or sometimes birthday parties. In those situations, how to work on the visual cards, because we're not keeping that board with us or the visual card. So how to tell him like, okay, Parsha, we need to now move from here, we need to eat.
So see, when visual cards, the main visual structure is used for transitions. So say from home you are going to a birthday party, but you know from morning that there is a birthday party that is going to be there. So when you are doing the visual structure, you are putting that card directly in the morning only. So the child is going through the visual structure. Now he saw the card at home only. कि अभी मुझे birthday party पे जाना है. If you are having behavior concern that he is unable to leave the birthday party and go back home, or you have to get through him to tell him कि अभी हमें घर जाना है through a visual. So you can even draw it on take a small notebook with you and draw it on the notebook and show it to him that now time to go home. But find out where is the concern. See, अगर बाहर बर्थडे पार्टी जाके कोई कंसर्न नहीं है, आप उसको बर्थडे पार्टी में खुद खाने पे भी लेके जाते हो. Do you need a visual at that time? You don't need visuals always. So when is it that you need a visual?
Yeah.
Then you put it into a mini task thing.
Yes. Most of the time it doesn't need it, but sometimes it's hard to tell him like, okay, now we need to go back home because party is over, or he's just keep on playing. So that's also the thing. So yeah.
The visual timer will work. That time you have to use visual timer. So visual timer is this: 1, 2, 3, finish. okay, but now it's a birthday party, you have to pre-inform him कि अभी 10 मिनट में हमें चलना है. So I would then use a stopwatch on my mobile and say ये 10 मिनट है, 10 मिनट जब 0 हो जाएगा तभी हमें घर चलना है. And at that 0 time you have to take him, even is crying you have to take him, because that will get through to him कि नहीं 10 मिनट मुझे दिया गया था, 0 टाइमर पे मुझे वापस लिया गया है. So I have been given enough time. So where a child is unable to give up an object or relinquish an object, you have to use visual timers, not the schedule. Schedule should be broken down only for tasks that are very challenging, like washing hands, going to the washroom, toilet mein pant utarna hai, underwear utarna, and then you have to. So those are steps. Then you break it into mini tasks. Okay. Otherwise, use a structure to go for transition. But within the transition, where you need, you think what is the card that is needed.
Okay, that's helpful.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ma'am, we are already over time. I would request you to take one last question, which is important, and we can close after that. So, ma'am, someone's asked that how can we use visual schedule for behavior modification or inculcate sitting behavior?
So same thing, how do you inculcate visual schedule for behavior? So what is a behavior? See, behavior in itself is a very huge thing. We need to do the ABC of each behavior that we see in our child. We need to analyze why that behavior is occurring. To give you an example, if in free time the child is doing a lot of self-stimming or having repetitive language, and that is one behavior that is considered problematic by the parent. So when is he doing that? Is he doing it in his free time? So what I'll do on the structure or on the schedule is that I will place a card. I already explained this, that computer time or computer task. Then I will say there is break time. Break time, there are higher chances that he will go into self-stimming behaviors. So instead of break time, in break time, I will put a picture of a fidget spinner or clay that the child can play with in the free time, whatever the child is able to associate or play with. And then now break time over, go to the third task or the wherever you have to go to the art class. So that one behavior I can take care of in his break time. I can reduce the self-stimming by distracting him or by giving him another object of his interest instead of he indulging in self-stimming behaviors. For sitting tolerance, they ask sitting tolerance. If I know that my child has a sitting tolerance of only 10 minutes, I cannot create a program that is going to last 30 minutes. First, I need to make that 10-15 minutes very concrete time, that I need to develop 15 minutes of sitting time with that child. So on the workstation, I will use what comes next card. So I will say I'm going to finish same thing, whatever you have planned for the child. 2 puzzles, then I give you fidget spinner. 2 puzzles, then I'll give you to scribble with the chalk on the slate. 2 puzzles or whatever handwriting task, then I'll give you a break time where you can do marching or jumping jacks. So I'm including the break time activity which has movement, which has some kind of visual and vestibular input. So the child is also happy that he is getting to move. I can also use a lap pad that is kept on the child that gives weight to the child. It gives proprioceptive input, pressure input to the child. I can use a chair which is moving on wheels. So whenever the child finishes 2 sums, I can give him a round on that chair, a caster wheel chair. So usko ek vestibular input. Again, he comes back to the task. So I will reduce the opportunity for him to get down the chair or go away from the chair by inbuilding the break activities in the cards itself, or what comes next, or first this then that card itself. So for a child who has less than 10 minutes attention span, try to develop a program only for 7 minutes first, then move to 10, then move to 15, then move slowly the sitting tolerance will increase once the child understands that after I finish this chunk of activity, I'm getting my reinforcer. So that is the way it has to be done. It takes time. It needs a lot of learning and guidance. So we are available at any point of time. You can connect with us on our email ID. And we also have a support group for parents. So I will share it with Miss Sonia. And you can keep putting on your queries over there. As and when we are able to answer, we'll definitely answer them. So we can stay connected through that.
Sure. Thank you, ma'am. So thanks everyone, and it was a very helpful session, and I think a lot of parents didn't know about visual schedules, and they got to know about it and task analysis. So a very helpful and a great session.
Thank you, Sonia ji. I am glad I could connect with your parents, and thank you, parents, for attending the session. And I hope it helps you. And if there are any queries, as I said, do connect with us. So,
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.